All right, we're on. Okay, I'm calling to order the, the Board of Education meeting, July 6th, 2017. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Effective September 1st, 1991, Chapter 9 of the Laws of 1991 requires that we inform persons other than students who attend meetings within a school of the proper procedures to evacuate a building in an orderly and timely manner in the event of a fire emergency. If you must evacuate this room because of an emergency, please exit through the doors located on the north side of the gym. Turn left and proceed directly to the outside, or you may use the door located in the northwest corner and proceed directly outside of the district office. Mary?
This is the notice of election of board members, 2017-18. The annual election of members of the Board of Education of the Baldwin Union Free School District was held on May 16, 2017. One full 3-year term was filled. Petitions were received from the following candidates: Ashley Davis, Joan Kenyon Woods, Karen Reed. The vote was as follows: Ashley Davis, 755, Joan Kenyon Woods, 79, Karen Reed, 789. Karen Reed was declared elected to the 3-year term commencing July 1st, 2017 and expiring on June 30th, 2020.
Do I have a nomination for I will now call for nominations to the office of President of the Board of Education. Do I have any nomination? I nominate Joe Press for President.
Second.
First, Mrs. DeResca, second, Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any other nominations? Will you accept that?
Sure.
Mr. Press accepted the position of President of the Board of Education. Mrs. Hobbs will now administer the oath of office. Oh, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Mary? Thank you. I will call for nominations to the office of Vice President of the Board of Education.
I
Oh,
nom-
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I nominate Annie Dreska to be the Vice President of the Board of Education.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Sue Ford. Is there anyone else that would like to nominate someone for Vice President? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. All right. Take it from here. All right. Can y'all hear me out there? Okay, good. Board of Education approves the personnel actions report dated July 6, 2017, as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mrs. Reed, seconded by Mrs. O'Hagan. This contains the names of individuals. We did not discuss this in public. All those in favor? Aye. School district appointments for the 2017-18 school year. District Council, Ingram and Smith LLP, and Hawkins, Delafield, and Wood. District Clerk, Mary Hobbs. External Auditor, Cohen and Danowski LLP. Claims Auditor, Stuart Fishbein. Internal Auditor, Giovanna Di Fiore. School Physician, Dr. Sue-Ann Kowal-Connolly. Civil Service Coordinator, Dr. Michelle Gallo. Title IX Compliance Officer, Dr. Michelle Gallo. Sexual Harassment Compliance Officers, Dr. Michelle Gallo, Officer. Dr. Stephanie Boulder, the High School Coordinator. Lori Buckley, Middle School Coordinator. Records Access Management Officer, Dr. Stephen Draper. Assistant Records Access Management Officer, Mary Hobbs. Health and Safety Officer, Russ Randazzo. Asbestos LEA Designee, Russ Randazzo. Committees and subcommittees on special education and preschool special education and surrogate parents. As I was, right, as we had materials on that. Impartial hearing officers, for the materials that we were given. Section 504 coordinator, Sharice Young. For students, Dr. Michelle Gallo. For adults. Compliance coordinator for ADA, Sharice Young. Census enumerator, Sharice Young. Attendance officer, Sharice Young. Central treasurer, student activities at the middle school, Rosemary Sochi. Central treasurer, student activities at the high school, Patty Cisco. Chemical hygiene officer, Lauren McCarthy. Control officer for bloodborne pathogens, Ed Ramirez. And that's it. Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan, second by Mrs. Reed. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Registrar appointments for the 2017-18 school year. Baldwin Union Free School District Board of Education designates secretaries in each of the district schools and the district office as deputy registrars to register qualified voters in the buildings of the district from July 1, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. At the district office, Mary Hobbs and Carol Becker. At the high school, Barbara Conroy. At the middle school, Evelyn Barrio. At Brookside, Jean Nocera. At Lenox, Nancy Salazzo. At Meadow, Kathy Menz. Plaza, Karen Manorino. And Steele, Deborah Garrity. Moved by Mrs. Reed. second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. We're gonna table this one. Yeah, why don't we do that? So I'm going to read the special assignments of board members for the 2017-18 school year. If I can get a motion to table our discussion of the liaison to Human Relations Advisory Council. Moved by Mrs. Reed, second by Mrs. Dreska. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, so this is where we get to decide where we are the liaisons for the different groups within the districts. I think when we talk about this, if the people who held these roles for the last school year, 16-17, just talk a little bit about those roles so that those who may not know about them or may not have held those positions can know about them. Maybe they want to step up and take them. The first one is legislative representative. I know Mrs. Reed was, yeah, that's not working. You gotta hold it down.
So the legislative representative, I think I was light duty, quite honestly. There were times that I guess I was kind of the contact person, but then directed the people to go to the proper channels to, you know, if they had something they had a question about, for example, something came up with respect to some, like, Todd Kaminsky wanted to recognize students or something, and I'm like, okay, you need to, you know, go to this person and have that conversation. But as far as legislative, I mean, I went upstate, kind of voiced concerns of the board. So I kind of, you know, I think we might need to tighten up exactly what the role is and what are the expectations as we sit on the board.
Yeah.
But it was.
I think part of it is also keeping the board aware of legislative development.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is kind of in flux.
Yeah.
Nobody can hear me. Yeah, just keeping the board informed of legislative developments as well. I think that's probably part of it. Yeah. And it's a new role, so we're still kind of fleshing it out. Does anyone have any questions about that? All right. You want to do it again?
I'd be willing to do it again if no one else was.
In favor of
Is that okay? Okay, I'll do it, even though you were my partner in crime when we went up to Albany. Okay.
All right. So the next one is the representative to the Baldwin Teacher Center Policy Board. I think
that was me as well.
You as well.
I wasn't as diligent. These meetings, they meet monthly. They have a teacher center. They are required to have different liaisons from different parts of the community because they submit a grant to the state, and so they are required to have these meetings and have us kind of discuss what kinds of courses we're offering to teachers for professional development through the teacher center. It's really kind of just sitting there. Carla and Barbara, who are the people who head it up, you know, kind of give us the run through as to what they're doing, and then, you know, we kind of sign off on what's going forward. So.
And that's once a month?
It's once a month.
Okay.
And what do? You bring that information back?
Well, and, you know, and we have not been diligent about doing that. So, I mean, again, because Carla asked me if I would do it again, because there's some kind of parent piece that they need, and I would kind of satisfy both the board and the parents. So I would be willing to do it again. And again, if we talk about what reports you want to come back, I'm more than willing to bring that back to the board.
Okay. All right.
So, if anyone's.
Any questions? Anyone okay with Karen doing that again?
Okay, so I'll do that again too. Not signing up for anything else, that's it.
Next is the representative to the SAVE Committee.
I did the SAVE Committee and also the liaison to the AIDS Advisory Council. The SAVE Committee meets a handful of times a year, and that's really about health and safety issues going on in the district. Not only is there representation from the board, but the nurses, buildings and grounds, so it involves a variety of things, everything from pest management, clean air. things going on, safety things involved with science labs, that kind of conversation. And they, as I said, they meet a handful of times a year in the afternoon. The liaison to the AIDS Advisory Council is really one meeting a year. It meets once in the spring, and they kind of review what has been going on during the course of the year, the various programs that are tied to the that council. I did that this year because my schedule allows for me to be available during the day. I would be happy to do it again, but I could do something else as well. But I picked those because I'm available during the day, and it was easy for me to attend.
Any questions? Anyone?
Can you explain the AIDS Advisory Council?
We have and have had for a number of years a program going on primarily in the high school, and this council monitors not only the programmatic things that go on, the health classes that touch upon the subject of AIDS, but also there is a program with the students where they are peer AIDS educators, and they work with their fellow students at the high school, and if I'm not mistaken, they may go down to the middle school as well and speak to students there. So that's the program. And of course, getting information out to parents as well. So that's the program that's been going on for years. And this is just a way of monitoring and making sure that it's still in place and talking about its effectiveness and if there are going to be any changes.
Okay. Is anyone interested, or I know Mary Jo, you said you'd be interested in continuing those?
I would be happy to do again. I'm not going to harm myself
Okay.
for it, but.
Everyone okay with that? Okay. So next, the Baldwin Educational Assembly. That is a position that I had, and I've had for a few years. So the Baldwin Educational Assembly is a group of residents that meet. The executive committee meets generally once a month. There are subcommittees that meet as well outside of that. The role of the liaison is to meet with the executive committee during their meetings, find out what the subcommittees are doing, and then bring that information back to the board. I think something I have not been that good about. It's also difficult because sometimes the information is not meant to be made public at that point in time as they're developing their final reports. Those meetings, they're once a month, generally in the evenings. I enjoy it. I would like to continue doing that unless someone else feels more strongly about that. Okay. All right. So I will continue to do that. So liaison to the Baldwin Council of PTAs. Sue.
Here, I was the liaison for the Council of PTAs, and that involves going to a meeting once a month where there is representation there of PTA from all schools in the district, as well as the council, the board. And it's really very interesting because you get to hear reports from every school, and they're in-depth reports as far as pretty much everything going on in those buildings. So it's a source of great information, and my role there is to give a report from the board, just kind of what we're discussing, any maybe information that we would like them to take back to their units, which is very, very important because, us along with the PTAs are always striving very hard to get attendance up at both PTA meetings and district board meetings. So that's something that we talk about a lot, and I know the units do try to reach out to parents and get the attendance and the involvement up. So I enjoy doing it, and I'd love to do it again. Okay?
Anyone? Okay, all right. Thank you, Sue. What do we got? Tabled, and now we're liaison to the Memorial Scholarship Committee.
Yes, so the liaison, I was liaison for this particular committee, and it actually meets once a year. It involved the committee discussing and reviewing high school applications for this particular scholarship. There were several applications, with essays included, so I had an opportunity to review those, and I wish I had another committee because this is once a year, but I enjoyed doing this, so I definitely wouldn't have a problem doing this again in terms of reviewing these applications from the high school students and providing this scholarship. But what I was going to say is, since this is the one that I have, maybe when you all are not able to attend certain ones, I can be a floater and attend the meetings that you cannot attend to participate in that way, and that will give me exposure to see what's going on in the other areas, because this is only once a year.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is really reviewing these essays by these students, the seniors. So I can be the alternate for all the other ones.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
It's a great idea, yeah.
Okay.
And if you're interested in tagging on with your BEA,
Yeah, I think I would actually like to attend
yeah,
a few of the
I
BEA
think
meetings. That would be great.
we should all do that, kind of tag along.
Right.
It might be better to do a little more informally rather than have a specific, I think there's only 5 of us. If we can't attend something, then it's easy enough to call up, someone else on the board and say, would you like to, fill in for me, or are you available to fill in for me?
Okay.
Rather than making it so formal.
Okay, so we could do that.
You're already the partner crime for legislative reasons.
I know,
So,
by default,
yeah.
yes.
Okay, all right, so it looks like we are all set. And we'll discuss the Human Relations Advisory Committee at a later date.
Yeah.
Okay. Financial management, oh, we do. So moved by Mrs. Reed,
Second.
second by Mrs. Dreska. Any questions or comments? We did that already. All those in favor? Aye. Financial management regulations relating to financial accounting in union-free school districts. Commissioner's Regulation number 2052 of the Codes, Rules, and Regulations of New York State. Chief Account Officers of the district: Kathleen Brower, District Treasurer; Carol Smith, Deputy Treasurer; Mary Hobbs, District Clerk; Dr. Stephen Draper, Assistant Superintendent for Business and Administrative Services. Persons responsible for business management functions: purchasing, legal, advertising, and opening of bids, Dr. Stephen Draper, Assistant Superintendent for Business and Administrative Services; Kathleen Brower, District Treasurer; Carol Smith, Deputy Treasurer; Lisa Pages, Account Clerk; Mary Hobbs, District Clerk, or any 2 employees designated by Superintendent of Schools. Certification of payroll: Dr. Shari Al-Kami, Dr. Michelle Gallo. Designation of signatures on checks: Kathleen Brower and Carol Smith. Readoption of policy 3625 relative to procurements that are not required to be publicly bid pursuant to section 104B of the general municipal law. Good. Purchasing agents: Jill McGrath, Dr. Stephen Draper. Transfer of funds as may be required during the school year: Dr. Stephen Draper, Carol Smith, Jill McGrath. Investment of school funds pursuant to New York State Education Law sections 1723A and 2131, Kathleen Brower, Treasurer; Carol Smith, Deputy Treasurer; Dr. Stephen Draper, Assistant Superintendent for Business and Administrative Services; Jill McGrath, Senior Account Clerk. Person designated to apply for grants in aid: Dr. Shari Al-Kami. Persons designated to receive service of legal documents: Mary Hobbs. Moved by Mrs. Reed, second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Designation of official newspaper: the Baldwin Herald. Moved by Mrs. Reed, second by Mrs. Cools. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Other newspapers to be used as needed: the Freeport Baldwin Leader and Newsday. Moved by Mrs. Reed,
Second.
second by Mrs. Dreska. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Designation of bank depositories for 2017-18, Capital One. Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Designation of investment institution, cooperative liquid assets, securities system. Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. Coles. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. The mission statement, belief statements and broad educational goals, which I did want to, I forgot to open it up. I do have it. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to read the mission statement and the belief statement. The mission of the Baldwin Public Schools is to support students' academic, social, and moral growth, foster a lifelong commitment to learning, and encourage responsible contributions to society. A partnership reflecting the high standards of supportive families, conscientious learners, committed staff, and an involved community will maximize potential for student success. The board belief statements: we believe we must provide an environment that encourages physical, intellectual, emotional, and social growth in a safe, healthy, and orderly setting. We believe that education encompasses positive communication and shared responsibility among the community, families, teachers, administrators, and students. We believe we must offer a strong academic program enriched by comprehensive elective and co-curricular opportunities so that individuals will have the skills and knowledge to adapt to constant change. We believe that it is essential that all students succeed regardless of their individual circumstances and that they be given recognition for those successes. We believe we must provide an education based upon respect and integrity that embraces civic virtue, values, moral discipline, and justice, and that we will value the richness of our community's cultural diversity regardless of race, ethnic background, socioeconomic status, religious preference, or sexual orientation. And I'm going to skip reading the broad educational goals, but you guys have all read that. So can I get a motion? Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan and Mrs. Cole. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Resolution pertaining to Section 18 of the New York State Public Officers Law, which I will not read, but which we all received in our mailing. Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. Jareska. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Establishment of petty cash funds 2017-18 pursuant to Section 709 of the New York State Education Law. Petty cash fund, I'm going to read the petty cash fund, the amount, and the administrator. Okay, Superintendent's office, it's all $75. Administrator, Dr. Shario Kami, Superintendent. Business office, Dr. Stephen Draper, Assistant Superintendent. Instructional office, Anthony Mignola, Assistant Superintendent. Human Resources Office, Dr. Michelle Garrow, Assistant Superintendent. Baldwin High School, Caterina LaFragola, Principal. Baldwin Middle School, Tim Marr, Principal. Brookside School, Jennifer Bumford, Principal. Lennox School, Bernice Acevedo, Principal. Plaza School, Mark Gray, Principal. Meadow School, Michelle May, Principal. Steele School, Lori Presky, Principal. Pupil Services Office, Cherise Young, Director. District Clerk Office, Mary Hobbs. District Clerk, Facilities and Operations Office, Russ Randazzo, Director. Instructional Technology / CTP. Okay. Darren Casalonga, Director. Literacy Assessments and Projects, Nicole Hun, Director. Physical Education and Health Office, Ed Ramirez, Director. Public Information Office, Amanda Cunningham, Public Information Officer. Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan. Second by Mrs. Coles. Are there any questions or comments? You do. All right.
The amount of the petty cash fund, is that established by state law as well, or is that something that we?
No, I think that's by policy.
Okay.
And literacy assessments and projects, that's the wrong title. It should be Director of Curriculum.
Okay.
Sorry.
Director of Curriculum.
Are there any other questions? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Establishment of travel mileage reimbursement rate for approved travel at 53.5 cents per mile. Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan. Second by Mrs. Jareska. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Establishment of Board of Education meetings and the annual meeting. Regular meetings, August 9th at the district office, September 13th at the district office, October 11th at Brookside School, November 8th at Steele School, December 13th at Lennox School, January 10th at Plaza School, February 14th at middle school, March 14th at Meadow School, April 11th at the district office, May 9th at the high school, and June 13th at the high school. Budget meetings, hearing and vote, February 1st at the district office, February 8th at the district office, February 14th at the middle school. May 2nd is the annual budget hearing at the district office, and May 15th is the budget vote at the high school. Community input meetings are October 25th at the high school and January 24th at the middle school. And the BOCES budget vote is April 17th at the district office. Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. Zareska. Are there any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye.
When is the NISBA? New York State School Board?
Oh, it's
Yes,
October 12th.
convention. That's what I was trying to,
It is that.
October 12th, so
Yeah,
that happened last time.
it did, yeah.
We have the meeting before. Okay.
Board membership in the following associations: New York State School Boards Association, Nassau-Suffolk School Boards Association, National School Boards Association, REFIT, and Baldwin Chamber of Commerce. Moved by Mrs. Reed, second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Do you have questions or comments?
Yes, I had asked a question. I just wanted to know, sorry, keep on forgetting. The New York State Caucus of Black School Board Members, have we ever been a part of that before? In terms of membership, if we wanted to be a member of that, how does that work? Is that a vote by the board to do membership?
Is that under NISBA and we're invited, or how's
No,
that?
it's a separate association. I don't know how that works. But I don't want to lose the opportunity
We have
tonight that we would
not-
have
but I
to
don't
discuss it.
I don't know how one does that. It hasn't come up before. And so we have not, but I don't know
What,
Why don't we find that out?
what the criteria is.
I don't
Okay.
think we're precluded from joining it, you know. at the
Right.
August meeting, if
so
we
I guess,
tonight.
okay, just
I
to know
don't
that
think-
if we have to vote as a board, if I alone wanted to be a member of that versus just choosing to be a member. Like Mary Jo said, like
Just if
what,
the board was.
right, just how we've listed here
Yeah.
for
Right.
that.
Yeah,
That's a good
I don't
question.
know.
We'll
I
see
don't
if
know
we-
how.
Let's get information on
Yeah.
the group first and.
Okay.
And all that.
Right,
other-
because I know they have a seat in terms of NISBA and so forth, but just to know how membership goes. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Authorization for board members to attend with expenses, meetings, and conventions of the following: New York State School Boards Association, Nassau-Suffolk School Boards Association, National School Boards Association, American Association of School Administrators, Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, REFIT, Nassau Citizens Budget Committee, Baldwin Chamber of Commerce, Nassau-Suffolk Bar Association, Scope. Oh, that's it. Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan, second by Mrs. Coles. Are there any questions or comments? I have a question. Nassau Citizens Budget Committee. Anyone know what that is?
It's a group that's been around for a long time. I have never been to one of the meetings. I don't know that we've ever sent anyone to their meetings. I think we used to get reports from them. I don't
Okay.
know how active they are still.
Okay. All right.
I have another question. There is something that we attend in February that's hosted by, I think, Nassau-Suffolk School Boards, as well as the superintendents. It's the Finance Forum.
Oh, yes.
Is that something that needs to appear on this list as an approved
Except that there's no expense.
traveling mileage?
Are you talking about the one that is usually in
The one that's held
Is
at.
it-
in East Meadow?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so you're asking.
I guess it has never been on the list because there's no expense attached to it.
other than traveling, and we're saying, if it's not, then it's, it's so big. I just was wondering if because of
it's only
this.
mileage.
More like entrance fee, like.
Registration
Okay,
fees
all right.
and, substantial.
Okay.
However, I was just going to say you could certainly apply for mileage, but now that you say that, if it's not mentioned, yeah, you probably can. Okay. We just have not included it because it didn't come under the heading of something that incurred substantial expense, so we could add it, but.
I don't know, so what are we thinking?
To be safe, do you want to list
Yeah, I was
it?
just wondering what group.
Because it is co-sponsored by Nassau Suffolk School Boards Association, which is approved, I think that kind of,
Cover it?
it covers it, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good question.
okay.
All right, any other questions? All those in favor? Do we have a motion? Yeah, because I asked the question. Yeah,
It's so,
all those in favor?
Aye.
Dignity for All Students Coordinators at the district office, Dr. Michelle Gallo and Anthony Mignella. The high school, Caterina Lafargola, Dr. Arlene Guerrero, Dr. Stephanie Boulder. Middle school, Tim Marr, and Erica Taylor. Brookside School, Jennifer Bumford. Lennox School, Bernice Acevedo. Meadow School, Ishel May. Plaza School, Mark Gray. And Steele School, Lori Presti. Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. Dreska. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are on to agenda part 2, the business portion of the meeting. Board of Education accepts the minutes of the Board of Education meetings held on June 4th, June 14th, and June 28th, 2017, as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mrs. Reed, second by Mrs. Coles. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Board of Education acknowledges receipt of the Treasurer's Report for the month of May 2017 as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mrs. Reed, second by Mrs. Dreska. Are there any questions or comments? No. All those in favor? Aye. Right, at this point I'm going to turn the meeting over to Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you. I just have three things to report on. One, which was given a really beautiful spread in Newsday. But Kelsey King, a senior who just graduated in June, was given the Marcus A. Henry Award. Marcus A. Henry is a Baldwin High School graduate. There's one student on all of Long Island that is given this award, and Kelsey was nominated for the award and received the award. The qualifications to receive the award are they excel on the field, they excel academically, and they have shown leadership and service to the community. It was really, really nice family, very nice young lady, and Newsday did a double-page spread. It was really beautiful. We received some more good news. The New York State English Council identified 2 of our educators in one of our programs as a program of excellence and educator of excellence. Our Team Orchid, which is a newsroom program at Plaza School, was identified by the New York State Council as a program of excellence. And Elaine Monahan of Brookside School and Aiden Byrne from the middle school were identified as educators of excellence, which is really also a nice achievement by the 2 teachers in our program. And last, Nassau High School Sports Hall of Fame will be inducting George Craig, who was an athletic director in Baldwin and a football coach in Baldwin, and Steve Shippos, who was a phys ed teacher and coach for 37 years in Baldwin, and that will happen I believe, October. So some nice news for Baldwin.
Okay. So comments and reports come to the Board of Education. Is there anything? I know we've been all out and about at award ceremonies and graduations and moving up ceremonies, and junior and senior National Honor Society inductions. Is there anything particular or specific anyone wants to bring up? Something they attended? Sure.
So it was my first opportunity to be at the high school graduation as a board member, and it was a beautiful ceremony, beautiful evening, and I was very honored and very proud to be there.
Great, thank you. Mr. Hagan?
Just that I know we were all of the same things, but I just wanted to say that I was at one of the sessions of middle school graduation, and I too was very impressed. The students looked wonderful. They were so excited. Their parents were so proud. It was a very, very nice ceremony, as was the high school graduation. It was done extremely well. The speeches were good. We were, as we have been in the past, very efficient, which is a very good thing. So we were able to get everyone graduated in our usual hour and a half, which was a good thing, and the rain held off. So it was a wonderful day. It really is. It's for those of us on the board. It's the culmination of the year. It's something that all of us find very exciting and make us very proud.
Thank you.
I would just like to give kudos to the team who coordinated the moving up ceremony between Plaza and Meadow. There were two students twin students, one attends Meadow, one attends Plaza. So they worked very hard to make sure that the parents could get to both. So we moved as quickly as we could, and I think that the mission was accomplished. So I just want to give kudos to the principal for actually working with the fifth grade parent group to make that happen so that the parents can make both, attend both moving up ceremonies.
Although in my second year, completing my second year as a board, it was actually my first time attending the graduation as well at the high school. So exactly to what Sue said, it was a great experience, just seeing throughout the year and getting to know the students and seeing where they were and where they were going. But that experience was quite amazing, as well as attending the middle school and seeing the excitement of the students going to high school and reaching a new chapter in their life. So that was definitely a moment as a board member to truly be proud and memorable experience as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I would mirror all of these statements from my colleagues up here. Just and actually, I wanted to add to that, these ceremonies are not easy to coordinate. So kudos to all of the people who coordinated these things for them to go off without a hitch, and especially the middle school who had to do it twice. So it was a nice job there, and seeing all the kids. I was expecting, as last year, somebody to do a cartwheel on me when I was trying to give them their diploma at the high school. That did not happen, so that was a good thing. And the weather held out, so that was nice. So, all right. At this point, we are going to open the floor. We have two comment periods. This is our first comment period. The first comment period here is limited to items that are on the agenda for the meeting. The intent there is so that we can get feedback from the community on the agenda items before we vote on them. So if you have questions or comments on agenda items only, you can step up to the mic, give us your name and your address so that we can get in touch with you if we need to. Each person can come up to the mic one time and speak for, it's a 3-minute time period per person, and then the entire comment period is limited to 30 minutes. We ask that if you do want to come up and make a comment, you address your questions to me as board president, and that you do so in a respectful manner. And I think that covers everything. And we do not discuss matters relating to individual students or individual employees, personnel of the district. So with that, I will open the mic up to questions and comments.
Well, my name is Vincent Batchford, and I'll just write my name here quickly. Just a few comments. Yes, it's peer educators. My son is one of them. Yes, they do go to the middle school, and I think it's quite successful because when they hear, younger students hear from students, it has more impact than adults, like the Charlie Brown wah wah wah. That Kelsey King just so proud of her. She's also a musician. I had to put that in. And I was going to ask real quick if you could repeat part of the Board of Education mission statement. It said physical, intellectual, emotional. Is there anything else that I'm missing from that? And as you're looking that up, asking the board if maybe when you put your agenda for your open board meetings, if you could print out the mission statement as well. Okay, do you have that line?
Yeah, I think this is the one that you're asking about. We believe we must provide an environment that encourages physical, intellectual, emotional, and social growth in a safe, healthy, and orderly setting.
And social group. Okay, and I also know that given recognition for successes in a strong academic environment.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, we believe we must offer a strong academic program enriched by comprehensive elective and co-curricular opportunities so that individuals will have the skills and knowledge to adapt to constant change.
Okay, comprehensive electives. Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions, we're going to move on. Board of Education approves the actions of the Superintendent of Schools as Board of Education Executive Officer to the Committee on Special Education, sub-CSC, the Committee on Preschool Special Education, and 504 Committee for Services in October 2016, in January, February, March, April, May, and June 2017, as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan, seconded by Mrs. Reed. This contains information pertaining to individual students, so we do not discuss it in public. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The Board of Education approves the home tutoring and special education service reports as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Again, this contains information pertaining to individual students, so we do not discuss it in public. All those in favor? Aye. Board of Education adopts the resolution provided by the Nassau County Legislature and Board of Assessors authorizing a tax levy in the amount of $95,970,539, and further that each board member be authorized to sign the document for submission to the appropriate agencies. Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. Dreska. Are there comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Board of Education accepts with thanks a donation of $3,000 from the Medical Career Academy of Baldwin High School for a prize that the team had won in the Spark Challenge to be used for the STEM program as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. Schools. Are there questions or comments?
This is the award won by the EMT team, right? The
Yes.
team EMT, and they were, like it was 1,500 and they doubled it to 3,000?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Medical Career Academy.
Thank you.
And congratulations. From Northwell Health. Excellent. Thank you, Northwell Health. All those in favor? Aye. Board of Education approves the expenses on the Capital One Spark credit card for the 2016-17 school year for vendors which would not accept purchase orders, with total expenses of $6,305.23 as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mrs. Reed. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, I had just one. My question was, there was no actual detail, it just tells you the amount. Is that how it is, or should we have gotten a list that defines, shows what the total is?
So
The vendors.
You're approving the total. There's a procedure that is put in place. That credit card sits in a safe. It's not moving around with anyone. Okay. And it's only used, for example, our website addresses have to be purchased online.
Okay.
You can't write a check and you can't do a purchase order. So the only time that the credit cards are used are when there's no other way of purchasing things that are required. Before the credit card comes out of the safe, the reason for the credit card is given to the business office.